Pick on Mike.
Okay, this is a meeting of the General Services, Health and Environment Committee. We have three topics of discussion tonight. The first one is a discussion on a city initiative regarding backyard composting. And Tina Lieberman and Frank Zioli are going to talk about that. We have resolution number 445121, which is a resolution honoring Benjamin Garland and renaming a part of Clinton Avenue in his honor. I think Joyce and Corey were going to talk about that. And then we have ordinance 155221, an ordinance amending Article 3 pavement openings of Chapter 323 streets and sidewalks with the code of the City of Albany in relation to the opening and repair of sidewalks, streets, and other pavements. And I believe Sergio and Frank are going to be coming on to talk about that. So we do have Bill Trudeau, and I think he's here for the one honoring the Garlands. And I guess since we don't have DGS yet, we could start with that one. And Joyce, I believe this is your resolution, but I know Corey last night mentioned Miss Garland, who recently died, and he may want to add her, at least that's the impression I had, or do a couple of them. I don't know whether you got the opportunity to speak with him.
No, I'm very aware that Corey wanted to add something to this. I got a request from his from Miss Garland's daughter this morning. They want to some way add her in on this resolution.
And I sent some language to JR. It was, I don't know if you got the email, Joyce, I CC'd you on it. It was just quick language about her, getting her mortuary science degree from Hudson Valley, being one of the first African-American women to do that, and being married to Mr. Garland for 65 years. I think that's what I don't know if they wanted to add more, but that's basically what I sent to JR just to add on. However,
right. So my question is, LaSone sent me, this is, go ahead, Corey, because this is new to me. I mean, I'm aware of the sign, honoring, the legacy of, the Garlands, but how do we add Miss Garland in there?
I'm just talking about the resolution. As far as the sign is concerned, I'm talking about the resolution, just so, they recognize that, Ben, if they're doing it, Ben Garland, I just wanted to make sure in the resolution, she was mentioned as being a partner and being a more, that's it. The other stuff, I guess we'll go over that, but that's only that I wanted.
Okay, I agree with you. I agree. All right.
Bill is here and he's our sign maker. I don't know, Bill, is there a problem in having the names of two of the same members of the family on one sign, or have you done that?
We'd have to see how it fits, but what is Miss Garland's first name?
Jeanette.
Jeanette.
I just wanted her to be mentioned in the resolution. I'm not saying add her to the sign.
Oh, well.
No, so let me tell you what LaSone requested. She requested that part of Clinton Avenue should be called Garland's Legacy in remembrance of her mother.
So you have a relative actually requesting public recognition on the sign for her.
Yes,
Okay.
I think that's what she wants.
Well, George, what I would say, if they want to rescind the application, I would have them fill it out and deal with it that way, so we know, What do you think about that, Joyce? Having her
having someone fill out a new application
Mhm.
and adding,
Yeah,
What?
both names.
add both names. Okay. I don't have a problem with that. I will talk to LaSone later on tonight or in the morning, and have her to fill out a new application and move forward from there.
Have we talked to JR about the application process and everything? Because we do want to get that corrected as well, JR.
JR is aware. I sent JR something this morning, so go ahead.
Okay.
You know, I got the request, the legacy. It's just that the code is specific to persons or organizations. So the resolution has been already drafted for specifically Mr. Benjamin G. Garland. So we can add, if we want, we can amend the resolution to reflect the Garland family as a whole. I know that particular street that they're trying to rename is right in front of the funeral home.
Well, I'll leave that up to Joyce and Corey, what their feelings are.
Well, again, Corey, you want the family to do a new application. Is that,
Well,
that's?
I
the
just
question.
want to make sure we get it correct,
Garland.
right? I just wanted to add Mrs. Garland's name in the resolution that we're going to pass as a council. As far as the sign is concerned, I mean, that's left up to them guys. If it's easier for us to have the application process, that's fine. If it's not, I just don't want us to be confused. For me, I would want, if I was doing it, I would want them to write in an application just so they can't come back and say, well, we said this.
Okay. Yeah, I can see your point. And JR, you had mentioned that there was some glitch in the application process, some issue which you thought might be addressed.
Not necessarily a glitch, it's just that the application we received was for Benjamin G. Garland, and that the attachments were for the funeral home as a whole.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, so maybe they should resubmit and get it honoring either exactly the people they want honored or the family or the home.
Yes, because I know myself, because I've lived in the area, that everybody knows the Garland family. They're very, but not many people know that there's three Benjamin Garlands. One's a senior, one's a junior. Benjamin H. Garland Senior, Benjamin H. Garland Jr., and then the current Mr. Garland who runs it, Benjamin G. Garland.
Okay. Well,
And I would also recommend that we do the actual block and not, right now the application says to go from Hawk to Ludlow Alley. I would recommend that we do the block of Tenbrook Street to North Hawk Street and not just the alley.
Correct.
okay.
So we can get that fixed on the application as well.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna just, some way they want their mother included in it, and I can understand. She's a big part of 65 years married to Mr. Garland. There's some way she's a big part of the whole thing, the picture. So some way we have to get their mother in this.
So if we do Benjamin and Jeanette, the middle initials would have to be eliminated. So it would be Benjamin and Jeanette Garland if we go in that direction.
Yes.
So Joyce and Corey, you're gonna talk to the family and see what their wishes are?
Yes, Joyce will take care of that. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Judy has her hand up. So Judy?
Yeah, so I recently had a situation, we changed the law, and I had a situation where a business was looking to honor people and, with the street naming. And I noted that what we passed says essentially that it's not supposed to be, I think the code says something like it's not supposed to be named in honor of a living person unless they've made really significant contributions or something, and I think it needs to be unanimous. And I also have an issue then, you know, with a number of other small businesses that are in the same in the same area, and probably would want the same recognition. It was interesting. I talked to the family and I told them that, you know, I'd be glad to do a resolution, but in terms of the street naming, you know, that was not being allowed, you know, at this point. So I had that conversation with them and I explained to them that there would be a lot of other people who would want this. What was interesting to me is that somebody who was advocating for the street naming got back to me and said that the mayor told her she never would have signed the bill if it prohibited street namings for live individuals or discouraged that. And I was surprised at that. I thought that legislation was passed largely because the administration wanted to reduce the number of street namings. So as long as DGS and Bill are here, I'm, you know, and other people who are familiar with that, I'm wondering if my understanding is wrong. Was that the initiative essentially of the city, or was that something the council did on its own accord? I'm just feeling like I was doing what now this code says with regard to respecting what the code says, because the honorees were still alive, and then and finding out that the mayor is basically telling people, you know, that she doesn't agree with that.
Didn't Kelly sponsor it? I remember when we had the discussions, I thought it was council leadership, and I thought Kelly was the sponsor of it.
Yeah.
Well, my question is this, like, if that's the ordinance, we know the ordinance, the person has to be deceased. When people submit applications, are we not telling them that? Council members?
Well, a lot of the applications come through the city clerk's office. I send them the code. I highlight the language in the code that says it requires unanimous council consent if the person is still living, and I send them the application. So, I mean, people are aware what it says in the code with respect to honorary street renaming.
But our council members are aware of it, because I think we need to be, you know, clear on what the code states. We didn't pass this law for no reason, right?
Yeah.
We passed it for a reason. We requested deceased on it for a reason. So we have to manage people's expectations. I don't think, as far as our office, I don't think it's good enough for us to send them what the code says. I think it should be, the letter should state, this person is no longer, based off city codes, they have to be deceased. So that way we don't have a discussion about it. And unanimous consent, you know, that's a totally different topic of what council members would want to see. If the person's alive, why would we be doing this unanimous? And I think.
But if you're naming a family, you're going to have both deceased and non-deceased. Which
That would be.
Derek has a question.
So thank you. I'll just say some people in the city have carved out a way that they will be exceptions to the rules. I think that it's unfair for certain people, like for the expectation for someone to have to pass away to smell their roses. I think that it's a number of people that have served this community in a fine manner and deserve that opportunity while they're still alive. And if we look at what the resolution says, it says that by unanimous, if you have unanimous consent, that this can be considered. So I just think that it's kind of hard when you say that we can't recognize people who are alive, but have done tremendous work in being a community servant.
That's a great point, Mr. Johnson. And I think where we look at it is the unanimous consent for, I'm speaking, I can't speak for council members, but I would say if as a council member, you would want, okay, the legitimate reason, like with the Garland family, this is legitimate reason, right? They've been, in that neighborhood for over 70 years. Mr. Garland is at an age where, God forbid, something could happen to him tomorrow. So it's not like this recognition is too far off for unanimous consent. But I do want us to be clear moving forward how we interact with the public when they request these applications. I think that's for me, that's what we have to be clear on. We have to be clear on, the council members to be clear on the code. So when someone puts in an application, and they might call you and say, hey, that we are very aware of what the requirements are, one, and what unanimous consent means. As far as I think for the Garlands, there's an overwhelming support that it be just because of the longevity, the Mrs. Garland passing away, Mr. Garland's age. I think that is more than appropriate, but council members would have to, decide that.
So I see no problem with the application being submitted to include more than one person. And then, but I guess the safest thing to particularly get more of the family's input is to redo the application. Judy?
I will touch base with Luzone later. I will have her to redo the application to include Ms. Garland. And I'll have her to do it as soon as tomorrow. Yeah.
And now, is there a time frame we could still pass this resolution at the next council meeting, JR? I mean,
If it's moved out, subject to the new application coming in, I can definitely prepare for that, yes.
okay.
All right.
Okay.
And
then
I-
we'll get the wording reviewed and we could pass a resolution tonight. Although Judy has her hand up, so why don't we hear from Judy?
Yeah, so a couple things here. One is, when I talked to Kelly, he talked, about this particular provision when I was dealing with this other situation. He indicated to me that if it's a living person, the expectation is that it is something, above and beyond the normal, contributions. And I, in reading the resolution, I felt, and I know the Garland family, I've left instructions to my family to use that funeral home. My gut reaction was that it didn't really talk enough about his contributions. It talked about, the family generally. And I think, it was pretty apparent to me that it was more so a little bit more recognition of the business, which is not supposed to happen on these. And I see that as being a potential issue in my neighborhood if I'm recognizing one business over another, competing businesses and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure some other people have those kinds of issues. So I personally would like to see the people who know the Garlands to maybe beef up some of the contributions specifically for him in that resolution. And then also the resolution, I assume, would be then being amended to include stuff about her. With that said, I also want to say, I agree with Corey in terms of how do you manage expectations with regard to these, especially when the mayor is saying basically she doesn't see a problem with doing namings for live people, and that she would not have signed the legislation if there were restrictions on that. So, I mean, it seems to me as though, that's we should be conferring with the mayor's office. I was hoping, that maybe somebody would chime in from the administration here, but it seems to me as though we should be conferring with the mayor's office, and, Kelly should confer with the mayor's office. And if that's the administration position, it completely pulls out, the rug out from underneath us being able to manage expectations if there really is supposed to be a distinction with regard to somebody who's alive versus dead. And, it's a difficult situation, but certainly I don't want anybody else to go through what I went through with the awkwardness of people saying, well, why aren't you doing this? The mayor never would have signed the legislation. So we did do a nice resolution, and we are going to have presentation of that resolution, and the mayor is going to speak at an event. I'm going to let everybody know about when that is, but we did not do a street naming in this particular, in that particular case. So I, especially with the recent passing, I don't have any objection to this street naming. It seems appropriate to do both spouses together and seems very timely for it, but I would like to see the resolution change.
Okay, so I guess the issue is, do we take a vote on whether or not we will approve the joint resolution for both individuals, even though we're going to require a new application? I guess I asked JR's opinion, is it proper for us to do that tonight, if there's agreement?
I don't see a problem with it. We've amended them before.
Okay. Well,
I just got a question administratively. So are we saying that when somebody wants a street named after themselves, they go to Danielle for the application, and then Danielle has to say to them, are they alive or dead? And then if they are alive, we have to vote on it unanimously in the council?
well, I guess she gives them a copy of the law, which states that.
So but what I'm saying is, they go there and they're gonna say, oh, we don't know if it's gonna go because the council's gonna have to vote on it first. I mean, that sounds kind of weird in my mind.
Yeah, but that's been the rule now for,
Is it? The
I'm
line?
gonna say at least a year, maybe more.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, the council has to vote on it first.
Would it be
It's a lot.
helpful if I pull up the legislation so that you have it in front of you to discuss, or is?
No, I'm good.
No,
I'm
I
good.
think we understand.
Yeah.
The problem that it allows it, but it's kind of, given the preference for in memory of rather than a live person. But we've done it. I know in my ward we honored Emma Dixon, and she's alive, and the mayor came and gave her the honorary street sign. So if we could do a motion that we approve the inclusion of both names pending a new application requesting that. Well, I guess I'll just make the motion.
I'll
I'll
make
make
the
the motion.
I will make the motion.
Okay, Joyce has made the motion, and do we have a second?
I'll
Derek?
second it. I'll second it.
Okay, do we have any discussion of the motion as stated? Okay, then all in favor? I vote yes.
Yes.
Looks like for the members of the committee, it's unanimous. And then hopefully that'll come through promptly. JR, Danielle will advise us when it does and what the final wording is. And if anybody has a problem with the final wording, they'll let us know, and probably will not be necessary to meet again over this issue, unless there's problems with changing the ordinance itself in future.
And
Okay.
respectfully, if you guys could just forward to me whatever you settle on, and we can work from there.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I
And
will work on this ASAP. I will work on with JR with the Lasone ASAP.
okay, thank you.
And
And
she's well aware, she's on, she's well aware of what's going on. She knows that, she's watching, she knows that a new application is forthcoming.
okay.
Okay.
So General Services is on. I see they are on with us now. And I'll leave it up to them as to what they want to discuss first. We have a general discussion of, I believe there's going to be a rollout of a city initiative and regarding backyard composting. And then the other issue that's on is an amendment to the ordinance regarding opening and repair of sidewalks, streets, and other pavements. And Sergio is on. I'll leave it up to Sergio what he wants to do first.
We're having technical difficulties in our conference room, so Frank is gonna jump in. I have Joe with me in my office.
Okay,
Our computer in the conference room is not working. That's why we were on and then we were off. So I'd like to start with the streets and sidewalk ordinance.
okay,
I want to point out that we did a lot of research this year. We also have an inspector that's out there now. And this is part of some of the findings that we found in the last 8 months, that the inspector's been out there and actively inspecting sidewalks, and in particular road openings in general. One of the deficiencies that we found in the ordinance is some of the ordinance goes back 14 years. Has not been updated since 1996. Some of them even earlier than 2008. So we need to kind of upgrade it. What I've asked legal counsel is to give me a guidance what I could promulgate under my office and what needs to be changed. What you have in front of you is what I need legislatively to change for you to pass. The promulgation has really nothing to do with the ordinance itself, except the materials that are being used. For example, there's no talk about floatable fill. There's no talk about saw cutting, and there's no talk on the current ordinance that on the current application that we have about submitting some sort of a plan. One of the things that we found is that a lot of antenna companies are coming through, a lot of also utilities company are doing work that's on the right of way, and they usually walk away without restoring it. Now we have an inspector that's out there and is catching this. So the language that we're adding into the promulgation is that it's in any street, sidewalk, or right of way, so that we have someone held accountable. So basically what council has advised me, that the few changes that you have in front of you is what needs to be legislatively changed, which is the application fee. It's outdated, it's $65. Everyone around us is 100 or more. We like to start with 100 and see where it goes from there. We're keeping the same fees for square foot. We're keeping the same fee for everything else that's in the ordinance. The only thing that's changing on the fee is, should a road opening or a sidewalk opening exceed an application fee of $2,500, we're going to require the contractor to put a 10% bond. And that is because these contractors are coming through, they're doing work on a sidewalk or on the street, and then walking away. And then we get the calls 3 or 4 months later because it has caved in, and then we have to put taxpayer dollars to repair their problem with a 10% bond that our inspector is going to go and review and make sure that it's done satisfactory. And then we'll release the bond. It will hold them a little bit more accountable. Where these, again, changes that we need to update. That's pretty much it. I'm ready to answer any question. Like I said, the other promulgation are about the materials. You can't use what you dig out. You can't put it back in. You got to use clean soil or QP, which is commonly known in the business, pound it in layers so that the cut, whether it's in the sidewalk or on the right of way or in the street, does not cave in later. We have allowed for our inspectors to talk about it, our road divisions to talk about it, and these are things that we need to change. So I'm ready to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, so like, for example, like when National Grid probably applied for a single permit and they opened up Washington Avenue from Manning Boulevard right up to Germain, I think. I assume that was one of those ones that exceeded $2,500.
Yes.
And required.
It currently does not require anything. We just gave them a permit and we can't, but under this new changes that we're proposing, anything that's over $2,500, that we will have to put a 10% bond. And before the job, when the job is completed, they call us, we'll send the inspector there and say, okay, it's done satisfactory. So then we will release the bond. Otherwise, we'll take the bond and fix it, but use the money from the bond, not taxpayers' dollars.
Yeah, and then one question which comes to my mind, do these, how do we do it when it's our own water department that's doing the digging? Do these rules apply to them or not?
Yes, it would have to apply. That's one of the things that legal, it made me aware that it has to be applied across the board. So even the water department, anything over $2,500, they would have to put a bond, which is, just saying, we'll fix it, an agreement, an interlocal agreement between us and the water department, say we'll fix it to your satisfaction. So yes, part of the problem is utilities.
Okay, I don't have any other questions right now anyway. Do Kathy?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner, how often do they fail to restore? I'm just curious. And I wondered how you came up with the 10%. Is that enough? And you said anything over 2,500. Just how high does it go?
Well, part of that, when we consulted our inspectors and our road divisions, we don't want to hurt the taxpayer that's putting a water line in. Anything that's local to a local taxpayer, that does not exceed $2,500. We're talking about long projects. As a matter of fact, we were thinking of putting linear footage. But then council said, well, linear footage could be also costly for a regular taxpayer. So this is not designed to hurt the homeowner that's getting a sewer line or a road opening for a sewer line. It's not $2,500. It might not exceed $500. It might not exceed $300. So those we were consciously protecting those small jobs, but you'd be surprised of how many jobs, and again, not the homeowner, but the contractors, the private utilities are out there. We're talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars that we have to go back and fix, because once they leave and we don't have nothing to hold them back, we're stuck with the repair.
So is 10% enough?
10% is based on the permit value. So if for example, utility of Washington Avenue, as Committeeman O'Brien's thing, that would have been a $50,000 permit. So 10% of 50,000 is $5,000 to cover a small line that would suffice. 10% is, in our opinion, good enough. And again, we consulted engineering on this. We consulted our road division. We consulted our inspectors.
I was reminded of, well, of course, National Grid's been coming through. And on some blocks, when they restored it, they didn't restore half the block, they restored like 1/4 of the block. And it really, I think, made a mess of a lot of the blocks. So what was the thinking on that? Is there any way how do you get them to restore at least half of the block there,
Well, again, under this new ordinance, we'll be able to look at, they have to give us a plan, what they exactly plan to do, a sketch, not an engineering plan per se, but what are you looking to do? We would catch that on that element, say, why are you only doing this half and not finishing the other? A lot of the problems that we're finding with utilities is the emergency repairs. When they come in the middle of the night, and now they have a 48-hour window to apply for a permit, where before they didn't. It was up to them. Now, if one of our truck drivers in the garbage department sees a cut that's fresh, wasn't there the day before, he could call it in, and our inspector could go out there and figure out who it is, and then give them a fine for not reporting it back to us 48 hours. One of the things that we're looking also to do is for utilities to make it convenient for them is put a $10,000 bond. If you know you're going to do X amount of work in the city, put a $10,000 bond, and every job we'll send an inspector there, and we'll sign off on it that it's and if we need to repair, we'll deduct it from there. But you're absolutely right. Right now, the way the permit issuing is, we have no say on what materials they put in. A lot of this fly-by-night operation, they dig a hole, they take the dirt, put it out, fix the hole, and then put the dirt that they just dug, put it back out. They don't pound it. And then before you know it, 3 or 4 months later, you have a cave in, and then it calls DGS and say you have a pothole. It's really not a pothole, it's a utility cut. And this is kind of more to guideline our utilities to conform to our ordinance.
Okay, and I know they often use material that's not the same as the sidewalk and so on.
So a lot of times they use blacktop, which the ordinance allows it only between the months of November and March. And in March, we will release the bond once the concrete is back to put in place. We'll hold that bond so that if they don't want to come back in March and finish that, remove the blacktop and put a concrete, then we'll do and take the money out of the bond. So that seems to be another ongoing problem.
Okay, thank you. That's great.
Mike, I just want to say, I think this is great legislation. It holds them accountable. So thank you, Sergio, for this.
Any other council members have questions?
All right. Seeing none, I'm going to turn over. Seeing none, I'll turn it over to Frank, who's going to talk about the program that you previously mentioned.
Right. Well, but I was going to take.
I'll be on
this one first.
Okay.
And I'll make a motion to make a favorable recommendation for the provisions of this ordinance. And Kathy is seconding it. And is there any discussion of that motion? Otherwise, I will ask for a vote on it. All those in favor of favorable recommendation.
Aye.
Ordinance 155221. Aye. So that's unanimous for the committee.
Thank you.
So next discussion is.
Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for your support. Again, this is something that was warranted. We're updating our things. Thank you for your support, and I'll turn it over to Frank.
Okay. So Frank's going to talk about, I believe, backyard composting. Frank, the city's going to roll out some initiative.
Yeah, so a few weeks back, we announced a backyard composting initiative to encourage people to divert their food waste from their trash into a backyard composting of some sort. So about 2 years ago, we received a grant from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation in the amount of $225,000 over a 3-year period. We're currently in year 2. 2020, threw a monkey wrench and things that we couldn't do anything. So, we laid it out just a few weeks ago. So the first part of this grant and the first part of this program focuses on food composting. The second part of the grant and of the program will be food waste reduction, and then the third part will be food donation. So stay tuned to those other two parts. But this part, basically, what we've done is food waste makes up about 20% of the trash that's in the landfill. So what we're trying to do is reduce that waste from the landfill and get it out of the waste stream. To do that, we've come up with a program that will give 3 options to city residents. One is a backyard composting option. So we give you the tools we give you a backyard composter called an earth machine. We give you a green kitchen scraps bin. We give you brown material or wood chips that helps compost the food free of charge. We give you the education that you need to actually do it and all kinds of support. The second option is we give you a green kitchen scraps bin, and you take it and you drop it off at 2 locations that we've made available in the city. And the third location is we partnered with 2 companies that will pick it up. We will provide free of charge the kitchen bin, and the collection will be picked up for a small fee. So you'd have to pay the company to actually collect it not curbside, but actually at your door, actually. So what we've done is we'll make the introductions with the 2 companies that actually do that. And then we underwrite the cost of the purchasing of the bin, because you'll purchase their bin and we'll pay for that. So everything is spelled out on the city's website. And you've got 3 options. You can choose one of the 3 options. If you choose the backyard composting option, which is the most robust, it is, you're required to watch a video, take a test after the video, a quiz. If you pass the quiz, then we will schedule a time to bring a recycler to your home and set it up for you, approve where you put it to make sure that it's going to be effective. And then answer any questions that you have. We'll start you off with the right amount of brown material and then tell you where you can get it. There's a reporting requirement that for 6 months, you've got to report how many times you empty your bin, how full your bin is when you empty it, which is going to help us come up with the amount of we've diverted from the landfill. So that's kind of what that reason is. But we're asking for a 6-month. After the 6-month period, we'll have enough of data that we can do some averages and figure out things from there. And if you're just looking for the second option, which is the drop-off locations, we'll make it a point to get you a bin, and you can start doing that ASAP. And then the full service, just go on the website. It'll tell you the 2 companies, click the button. It'll take you to their websites where you can sign up and you're on your way. So does anybody have any questions about the program?
Well, I have a question. The third option, the 2 companies, are they taking it to like some sort of biodigester, or is it?
Yeah, they've got companies, some of them, Radix is one of them, and they actually do piles right in their backyard. Food Scraps 360, I believe, takes it to believe they take it to Bethlehem, don't they, Tina? Yeah.
Okay. And I remember, a couple of years ago, the county did a program with the city for an actual biodigester at the wastewater filtration plant in Manans. And I haven't heard anything about that, but I assume that's an alternative. It's what?
It failed. It didn't, they couldn't get enough stuff to feed it. So the program didn't work. That was my understanding from what I heard from the wastewater guys down the street.
Oh, yeah, because if we could, get, when there's an initiative that cancels out, if we could just get informed about it. Because I thought it was COVID related, but that was going to be a big initiative because I suppose it could handle a large amount of food waste. But keep us, and Tina, I'll let Tina speak too, because keep us abreast of what various initiatives, because as we all know, the landfill is going to close in the not too distant future. So if we can divert the food waste into, commercial sustainable biodigester, backyards or whatever. But Tina, did you want to make some public comments with regard to to what the
Yeah,
sustainability?
yes, I certainly wanted to bring this wonderful program to your attention. I don't know if I'd love to share my screen and just show you a quick glimpse of the website because it's absolutely gorgeous on the composting. You should see what it looks like. And I'm also here to make sure that every Common Council member and every person working in the city of Albany joins this program, okay? Because we have to lead by example.
Yeah, I think Danielle could share the screen to see the website.
If I could, yeah,
It's all-
Danielle, you
it's
want-
all-
Absolutely. If you give me the web address, I'll pull it up.
Yeah,
Frank
it's
had it.
albanyrecycles.com.
yeah, just take a quick look. I want to just make sure you all see it, feel a little comfortable with it, and sign up for one of the options, please. And I wanted to let you know that, and I also hope that you will encourage the other Common Council members to sign up.
Okay. And do any other folks have? Oh, okay.
So
And
yeah,
that's-
go to the Albany Compost tab on the top.
You want me to
Okay.
hit? Okay.
Yeah,
This is albanyrecycles.com.
right.
Yep.
And then there's a tab that says Albany Compost.
Okay.
You can also just go to how can I participate? That's probably the best way.
Yeah, to learn more, click here, that last.
Yep.
The last two words.
Okay.
Seems like it's slow. So you
Yeah,
might
it's
want to go,
pulling.
yeah. Or go to Albany Compost, right there you go.
Oh, there
There you
you
go.
go. Right, just
So
scroll
there's your
down a little
three.
bit.
That's your three options. Again, backyard composting, do it yourself, food waste drop off, let me help, and then full service composting, do it for me. These are your three options. From there, you will, you click the button, it'll take you to a form that you can sign up. You can, again, it'll tell you a little bit more about drop off locations. So it's all stuff that you can do. It's interactive. You can do it right from here. And once you, again, when you choose backyard composting or food waste drop-offs, when you click the button, it takes you right into filling out a form, which then takes you to a test, watch a video, a quiz, so just when you got some time actually and you're ready to do it, take a look and you'll be able to, get set up and started, and then we'll get back to you and let you know.
Frank, when if you go just through the city website and you go to the general services page,
Yes.
I thought I know at the bottom you have albanyrecycles.com, but I wondered if it could be, can we bring that page up? Can you, Tina, or somebody? I just thought it might need to be highlighted more
If
somehow.
you go to the general services page, it says trash and recycling is the menu choice, then it takes you to that website. Because it's a separate website. It's not part of the city's website. So when you go to general services, there's top three on the top and it says trash and recycling. You hit that, it takes you to that page. It's not on the home page.
No, I know that.
Okay.
But if you go to the Department of General Services, are you talking about the homepage of?
That's the portal, whoever put that up. You need albanyny.gov.
I got it. I'm pulling it up. I'm on it. Give me a
There's button to
second.
get- Right. It's on the portal as well for everybody who's familiar with the portal.
So who here has signed up at this point? Just wondering.
I have not.
I intend to, but I haven't. So, and I was just going on here to try to find it, and I'm saying
Yeah.
it
Okay.
wasn't easy for me to find.
Departments, general services.
I went Departments, General Services.
Yep.
And then what?
There's a trash recycling option at the very bottom in the menu list.
Yeah, try it again because I can't see your screen, Danielle. There you go, trash and recycling. And then hit recycling.
Wait, now I can't see my screen.
Okay. And it takes you right to the website. Okay, so just Albany Recycles we've had the Albany Recycles website for about a decade. So a lot of people know to go there anyway, and we've been putting this out there, but maybe we can see if, I'll talk to the webmaster and see if we can get a better link on the homepage.
I mean, especially because it's a newer program, if we
Well,
can.
it was in the news section. So if you went to the homepage, I thought it was in the news section, but I think because so many things have been announced since, it's lower on the list,
Uh-huh.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, we're going to be at, and we have actually started, we're at farmers markets, volunteers, as well as our educator and the Radix staff that are helping with education. So we're at the South End Night Market every Thursday night. And we just started every other week at the Western Avenue Farmers Market. And then we're going to have a booth every week at the Delaware Avenue Farmers Market. And I believe we're still looking at July and August for the Washington Park Farmers Market to spread the word, let people know about the program. And I was at the Western Avenue Farmers Market last week and got 13 people signed up right there for one of the options. People are very, very positive, very supportive. They're really liking this. That makes sense to them. They approach it either, you could be approaching it from keeping, keeping waste out of the landfill, reducing the waste that's going into the landfill. You can approach it from a climate angle because you're reducing methane and greenhouse gas emissions. So that works for some people. And then you've also got this idea that you're creating this wonderful fertilizer, this soil amendment that is really important to put back into our urban soils, our gardens, our community gardens. We're using this in food deserts. So especially Radix is using it down in the South End, and we have more drop-off sites coming online. So I know that DGS, Frank is working with Albany Victory Gardens. We have Diana from Food Scraps 360. She's trying to create one down on Sligo Street and off of Delaware Avenue. And now the church, the New Covenant Presbyterian Church on Western, where the Western Avenue Farmers Market is, they're potentially interested in having a drop-off site created there. So it's wonderful. We can create a network of these residential drop-off sites. And, I think this is a program that could just keep growing so that we can really be looking at diverting the majority of food scraps, certainly on a residential level. And then we've got to be looking at the commercial level of diversion, which is going to be supported by the New York state law that comes into effect January 1 of 2022, which is right around the corner now, right? And that is the food scraps donation and recycling law, food donation and food scraps recycling law. And that will require all commercial composters of 2 tons or more per week to A, donate edible food, and B, if there's a facility within 25 miles of them, they have to, if they're designated by the DEC, they have to be recycling, composting their food scraps. So that's also something for us to be looking at.
Wow.
Big picture.
yeah, so if I can just interject. So I ask everybody to continue to look at the Albany Recycles website because it's important that as the city adds on locations, those are the locations the city will be supporting. Because there are some locations we'll add on, we're not a part of them. We want to make sure everything's done safely, is done the right way. So I tell people continue to watch that. Okay.
So with this state law, have you considered what commercial businesses are going to have to adhere to it and are going to be
aren't many
looking
in the
for?
city of Albany. There aren't that many in the city of Albany. So we're still waiting to get some more word from the state on that.
Yeah.
Beyond waste, I bet you that's what Mike's going to say now. Beyond waste, which was the statewide plan a few years ago when we were doing ours, was supposed to ban it all completely. It was into the 11th hour and pulled out by the governor. So,
Well,
so I don't even know, we're still waiting on guidance for all that, but I don't know that we have enough of facilities that are going to have, that's going to be an issue.
And I expect it doesn't, I was just going to say, Mike, I expect it doesn't apply to state agencies, right?
Well, that's a good question because SUNY produces a lot of food and probably throws it away. Albany Med probably does too. St. Peter's Health Partners probably does too. So those are probably some really big ones. And I assume Price Chopper throws away food too. So those are the kind of ones that if they could capture what they throw away, I think it would make a difference. And I don't know what
We'll definitely see how the final draft comes out. We'll
Yeah,
definitely see how it is, you know.
I think that the DEC just published the list this week. So I was
But
looking
it wasn't,
through it.
I don't think it's been passed by the legislature yet.
Oh, yeah, this is passed. This is
Has
the,
it been passed? Okay.
yes.
All
This
right,
is,
all right.
so basically
let's
the DEC picked them out. And as Frank says, there's not as many as you would think, but just keep in mind, this is just the beginning, because I think the idea is that they're going to keep reducing that benchmark down so that they get more and more food scraps being recycled. It's because New York State has to reduce its waste, right? We all have to reduce the amount of waste going to landfills. So it's a trend.
One of the things I want to, in conclusion, what I want to say is that this program is in path to what our original reorganization of the department was. Rather reach out community, reach out to them and provide them services and opportunities that we have access to. But one of the things that's very important, that there's a white elephant in the room. And when people ask me, what can we recycle? And my comment is always, we can recycle anything as long as there's a market. And what this does, it creates a market. It sets us into a leadership where we have opportunities for people to drop off their compost and create a market, so that eventually when the state law comes into effect, we're able to point out that there's no excuse for not doing it. And that's what recycling is all about, is you could do anything you want as long as there's a market for it. And what this program establishes is a market for that type of material. You'll be surprised of how many people can participate. And I'm talking about the future. Schools, for example, they have lunches every day. That waste is very heavy, and it's food. 90% is food or paper. And that's it. That's all that's in the school. So if we create a like Tina said, a conglomerate of opportunities for people to go to, people will respond. And if we fail, shame on us for not providing that. Shame on us for not giving them a highway to go out. So I'm very proud of this program. I really want to thank Frank for taking the lead. I know Radix took the lead on it too early on. They were the successful bidder, and they went through. We put them through a series of challenges, and this is a great opportunity for us to establish a market for food waste and composting and whatever other means, and alleviate going through the force. So again, thank you for your support, and thank you for inquiring about it. Spread the word. Look at our emails. Our websites are continuously being updated and posted, and that's our goal. Reach out and tell people that's what's happening greatly in Albany. Thank you.
Any other questions on the program that I can answer?
Yeah. Anybody have other questions of Frank or Sergio or Tina? Because this is nothing, we don't have to do a vote on this tonight. It was a matter.
No, there's nothing. The program was announced by the mayor a few weeks ago. The stuff is on the website. The purpose of tonight was just for us to make sure that everybody knows about it, and not everybody's tuned into the press conferences, and but just so everybody knows about it, and they can again spread the word to your constituents.
I honestly, and Frank probably is going to laugh at this, but when I originally started the program, I said, how many people do you think you're going to participate in this? Because I was talking to my counterparts in New York City and Binghamton and other area, and they weren't, but we had a tremendous success from the day one that it was announced. We have a lot of participation. People in Albany really embraced this program and want to move forward. So I was very surprised. So it's very.
I just want to say, I think it's absolutely terrific. It is something that a lot of folks want to do, but it is big change in their habits. So I think it's up to all of us council members to really start hitting folks over the head with just, this is what we need to do. This is how you do it. Because and people got to hear it 100 times before it's like, okay, I'll do it.
And Kathy, it's been on your radar since for years.
Yes,
And you've kind of kept
yep.
DGS going with this, and you've encouraged us millions of times to go down this path. So again, it wouldn't have been something we couldn't have done without you. So from DGS, we thank you for your support on this through the years, your leadership.
Okay, and thank you to DGS and to Frank. I don't have anything else unless somebody else wants to comment.
No, I just want to say thanks. I have a daughter who goes to environmental science first. So
Oh,
she's my environmentalist advocate. And right now, for 2 years, I've had a compost in my backyard. So I've been doing it for about 2 years now.
Okay.
Oh,
So I would,
just-
And she's listening to this discussion right now with a smile. So
Well,
that's a
Yeah,
good
I've
thing.
had conversations with your daughter. I've had conversations with your daughter. She's this very smart young woman. She really
Yes.
knows what she's talking about.
Yes, thanks, Frank.
Yep.
Well, and
So-
I wanted to add that right after we announced the program, Schenectady called me, someone who works in the mayor's office. They'd like to do something similar. They wanted to get some information about what we were doing. We've also had visitors from Orange County coming to our Zero Waste Education Subcommittee meeting, and from the town of Hudson. And they want to know what we're doing, and they're asking us questions. So we are acting as leaders in this. So and very impressed and very proud of DGS and this effort.
Like Albany has always been. We've always been at the forefront. No matter what we've done, Albany has been that for other municipalities. So I'm proud to be a part of that. So.
well, my thank you to Frank, Sergio, and Tina, and I would make a motion to adjourn. I need a second.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, and have a good night.
good night, everyone.